Hi,
Hi, how are you?
good.
Good. Well, thanks for meeting with me today. I just want to start off by saying that.
Yeah, of course.
So to start off, I just want to kind of tell you why I'm doing this and what it's for. And so I am an occupational therapy doctorate student right now, and I'm almost done. And with that being said, I have to complete a doctoral capstone, and that is basically a student-led project. And within that project, I've decided to partner myself with All Wheels Up and just learn a little bit more about what they do while also promoting occupational therapy's role within like air traveling, things like that. But
Yeah, that's great. And I'll definitely introduce you to Alex Bruce. She's an OT as well, but she's the head of our like yeah, it's like the medical committee.
yeah, I actually got the chance to meet Alex. I went to the aerospace medical conference and she was there kind of helping me and another student. And so that was phenomenal to be able to meet her and see what she's already done with All Wheels Up.
Nice. Yeah, she's great. And yeah, it's great to have someone with that background on our team.
Yes, yes, it is. So, just to start, do you care to introduce yourself and just say like who you are and kind of what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Alan Chaulet. I've been part of All Wheels Up since 2014. I'm our vice president and founding board member. I'm involved with several different committees as well as helping run our organizations. I'm involved with the communications committee, wheelchair advisory committee, the aviation committee, and the advocacy committee. So I really do many different things for All Wheels Up, and yeah, it's been great being part of this, and yeah, I'm so happy to be able to do it.
For sure. Can you talk or like speak a little bit on your personal experience with having a disability and then traveling using the airlines and airplanes and things like that?
Yeah, so I actually don't have too much personal experience with traveling, but the last time I flew on an airplane was actually the I'm involved with a Duchenne muscular dystrophy nonprofit called Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy. So they have an annual conference, and so last time I flew was to there in DC in 2015, and it was a short flight, only like 45 minutes, but it was tough for me in many different areas, and so you can actually see on our website there's a video of a wheelchair loaded onto an airplane, and
Mhm.
that's my wheelchair being loaded onto the plane at Reagan, and yeah, I wish I could travel more. I hope to do so. I'm working on things so I can be able to do it, and things like getting a portable Hoyer lift and
Mhm.
shower chair, and yeah, I have so many disabled friends that travel all over the world, and yeah, I hope to do so because it's just so important for work.
Right.
Because right now, yeah, it's tough not being able to be in person for so many things about All Wheels Up. That yeah, it's very important to be in the room of. But me and Michelle are a very good team, so I'm able to do whatever I can, virtually, and she can attend the things.
Right, right. I totally agree. And I hate that that happened to your chair. It just is completely unfair and it is unnecessary as well.
Yeah, like it could be much better for everyone, and yeah, making it just a little bit more accessible will, yeah, it'll really help the air travel industry, but also everyone that travels.
Right. Are there things that maybe you used the last time you flew, or maybe things that you know that your friends or other people you know do to help them fly with a disability? Like any adaptations or resources that they find helpful?
Yeah, so for me, the best thing that I did, which I recommend to everyone, is at the gate, take off the headrest of your wheelchair, take off the joystick, everything that's that's important, and bring it on as a carry-on, like even the cushion. And it's also very important to take a picture of it at the gate, so like if anything's been damaged when you arrive. But one of the best resources I've seen, many of my friends use this, and I see it often on social media, is there's actually a portable, like, electric wheelchair called the Easy Light Cruiser. I'm
Okay.
not sure if you've heard of it,
No.
but, it's pretty cheap, but, like, so on every airplane, there's,
Mhm.
like, an onboard closet where, like, you can fit, like, manual wheelchairs and, that chair, and, yeah, we think that really helps people in traveling, but also, like, there's some great resources, like, out there. I think 2 people that are must follows in this, there's many others
Mhm.
as well, is, John Morris of Wheelchair Travel. Like, he travels everywhere with his wheelchair, but, his website and his blog are really good. I would recommend everyone sign up for his newsletter, but also Corey Lee. Like, he
Mhm.
travels everywhere as well, but he really works on helping other disabled people travel. And he does many things so we can travel more. And I think probably the best resource is just having knowledge, like knowing your rights, knowing what to do if something goes wrong. And yeah, we think that makes a very like big difference.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't know that the ADA does not cover them while they're airborne. And so that's been a really big barrier to flying.
Yeah, like we wish more people knew about like the Air Carrier Access Act.
Mhm.
And the the Department of Transportation website has many things that are good. Like they have like a Bill of Rights, and yeah, you can read some of the regulations. Like some of the stuff is it's yeah, it's very simple to read.
Right, that's awesome. So, something else I noticed when I was like kind of doing some research on you, you are the director of technology for ADAPS, correct?
Yeah,
Can you talk a little bit more about the Adapt Sling that kind of goes in with like resources for disabled individuals flying? And I feel like that's something a lot of people don't know about is the sling. There's also the CARES harness, but if you don't care to just talk about the sling and kind of what that is and what that would look like.
yeah. So it makes a big difference when people are traveling. I think everyone should look into having one. And yes, I'm the director of technology for them. So like I've done some like good updates to their website. I'm really proud of there's a GIF like of different images of people using it that I'm very proud of. But yeah, we worked with them for years. We actually give away many of those things as part of our Fly Safe Today giveaway. And yeah, I consider Robin Orley like a very good mentor and friend. And on our website, we actually have a coupon code. I think it's AWU 15. That gives you 15% off.
That's awesome. Who do you think can benefit from the Adapt Sling?
I think it's everyone that can't do self transfers with it, like, yeah, from their wheelchair. I think it just really helps, like, families, because I think, like, lots of people, like, in the disability community, I've noticed, like, they have, like, a dad who's, like, strong and does so much stuff, but I think it really helps, like, moms, and I think, like caregivers. And I think one of the things which is good is lots of people get injured, like, from transfers, like,
Mhm.
at the airport. Like, we've heard some crazy stories. There were two women that passed away. I've heard of someone getting, like, a spinal cord injury during it. And yeah, we think it's a great tool. It's very, like easy to carry with you. And yeah, it makes transfers much easier, because like, the airport staff, like, yeah, just, they don't do any training, they don't do any medical certification, so
Right.
they really don't know how it's like to take care of disabled people.
Mhm. From an occupational therapy standpoint, the sling, like you said, is really going to help the caregivers or whoever is doing the transferring because the flight attendants aren't going to do it, the pilot's not going to do it, and so someone has to do it. And that sling is really going to help kind of like save their back, save their muscles, keep them from injury. And I feel like it is going to keep everyone involved in that transfer onto the plane a lot safer because you are working in such a small space. I just think it's gonna alleviate a lot of problems, and I wish more people knew about it.
Yeah, because some of the things are tough, like getting into the transport wheelchair, like, it's so low to the ground,
Mhm.
and it's designed terribly. It hasn't been updated since the 80s, but, like,
Man, I didn't know.
there's no laterals, there's no, like, headrest. And yeah, it's very tough transfers.
Right. There's not even a cushion truly in that. It looks like hard plastic to me.
Yeah, like, for me and so many uh people, like, with my disease, or SMA, or, like, other things like spinal cord injuries, like, uh I forget what I was gonna say. Oh,
That's okay.
yeah, yeah, some of those things are so important, like the Roco cushion. I think that's amazing. Like, if you have, like if you deal with pressure sores and stuff, because you're sitting down in there all day long, like, anybody would need, like a special cushion like that.
Agreed. So something kind of big that's been happening is the FFA reauthorization of this year, and that just recently, like very recently, passed. And I noticed you kind of had a part in it when All Wheels Up posted. You had said a few words about it, and so do you feel like talking about that right now?
Yeah, of course. We're so happy Congress was able to pass it, like, last week, and we're so happy that it passed in such a bipartisan way. I think it had 90 votes in the Senate, and both parties really care about accessible air travel, and it includes lots of things that we've been fighting for. Like, it includes more research and feasibility studies, but also training standards, and it also includes things like requiring all airlines to say the size of their cargo hold and to work on evacuation standards. And yeah, it includes so many amazing things that are really going to help make air travel more accessible, and it really builds on the 2018 FAA reauthorization. That was the most recent one, and that one had things that just looking back were huge. Like that's what required all airlines to report how many wheelchairs they break every month.
which is
And yeah, it's really crazy. It's like around 32 wheelchairs per day now, and it's climbed like pretty big. And the air travel numbers is finally back to where it was pre-pandemic. So it's tough to just look back at the numbers because just no one was traveling during COVID,
yeah,
and the requirement that they, I'd say how many wheelchairs they break. It only came like into effect in 2019.
right. Well, that is exciting news for air travel, and I'm excited to see the development of their plans and their studies. I know that they're going to have to do their own. But yeah, I'm personally excited to see what they do.
Yeah, like the feasibility study in the 2018 one, like it concluded there's no engineering or design challenges that make it not possible. And that was the National Academies of Science. And now some of the feasibility studies like will be done by the Department of Transportation. So like that's the most like prestigious like organization saying it's possible.
Right. Something I noticed at the aerospace medical conference, when people came up to the All Wheels Up booth, they were like, okay, but what is this going to cost? If you're taking out airplane seats that people pay for, that they can sit in, to put in the lockdown system for a wheelchair or something else, like what would that look like? Can you speak on that? I hope that made sense.
Yeah, so yeah, some of the feasibility studies are economic and finance and budget. I think that's just so important because one of the biggest like like criticism that we get about this is that it would cost the airlines so much money and it would just be crazy expensive. But we don't think that's the case. There's many different wheelchair spot like ideas out there, and there's some of them where like on buses, like it'll be a regular seat, but when there's a wheelchair user, it just lifts up and their wheelchair can be secured there. And like there's 5.5 million wheelchair users in the US. That's 5 million like new customers. That's huge. And in Europe there's another like 5 million.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's not much data in other parts of the world, but it's an insane number, and it's only gonna climb big, like as people like get older.
Yeah. In my research, when I started getting into learning about airline accessibility, there were so many articles that said disabled people want to travel. It's not that they don't want to, they want that just like everybody else wants to travel and see the world, and not even travel for fun. Like some people need to travel for, like you said, work, or they need to go to someone's wedding or even sadly their funeral. They want to see family. You don't always have to travel for fun reasons, but the need to travel and the want to travel is there, and airlines are losing so much revenue by not giving people the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, because right now, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but there's several $billion that we spend on travel, like right now. And yeah, the travel industry is amazing. And yeah, there's so many amazing places in the world. Like there's so many great cultures, sites food and people you get to meet. And for my family, like I have family in France and Colombia, and I would love to visit them,
Mhm.
but I just can't. Other people in my family have, and yeah, I think that's really sad for like everyone in the world. And yeah, like some people in my family, like my brother, he had a huge trip like to Australia and Indonesia. He was just like exploring it by himself,
Yeah.
and he had a great time. And several years ago, he actually went to Cuba, and he met his fiancee there.
Oh,
And
wow. Awesome.
yeah,
Well, my favorite part of the legislation that we've been talking about happens to be the incorporation of occupational therapy into training the people we talked about have no training in transfers or even uh, dealing and communicating with individuals with disabilities. And I think that's so important from a holistic perspective. You know, we get to look at the whole person, not just who we're training, but what we're training them for. And I'm excited for that. But do you personally have any experiences with occupational therapy, or what do you think about this part of the legislation?
well, so in regards to that legislation, like we still need to figure out exactly how those standards are gonna look like. But one comparison we really think it'll ideally be like this around the world
Mhm.
is CPR training
Yeah.
standards, because there's one standard like around the world, and yeah, everyone learns them. Like middle schoolers and high schoolers like learn it, and yeah. So in terms of my personal experience with OT, as I said before, I've Duchenne muscular dystrophy, so I've been to OT and PT many times over the years, and they've helped me with many things. They helped me get all kinds of assistive technology. They've helped me a lot, like with the contractors in my hand. And I haven't been to one in years, but I should. Like, I wish I could get physical therapy more often, but there's just major insurance issues for people in my disease.
Right.
Like, they don't want, like, they're not going to cover, like, keeping things stable. Like, they want to see, like, actual improvements.
And that is, again, like not fair to people who need that maintenance. And, you know, we don't want to see any like digression, you know. It's sometimes just maintaining the skills and the ability to do the daily skills that you participate in that is so important.
Yeah, like, we wish everyone has access to that, because it can really make a tremendous difference in someone's life.
Right. I feel like we have come a long way in healthcare in general, and now in aviation, but it's like we still have so much to do to improve, to make it accessible for all and available to all.
Yeah, and yeah, slowly but surely we're seeing improvements. We wish there were a lot more big improvements, but they're coming. Like everything's uh, definitely like being worked on and possible.
Right. Well, I want to say thank you so much for letting me interview you and taking up your time. But is there anything you want to talk about or any questions that you have for me?
Oh no, thanks for having me. This was a great interview, and Yeah, everything for accessible air travel is going great. Everyone should definitely follow us on social media, like, and share what we do as well. Like, we really want other disabled people to know about our work because they can really help us. And like, we know there's a wheelchair spot is definitely going to happen. It's just when, and yeah, we're working every day to make it a reality.
Yes, I think you said it perfectly.